All right, let's bring in Senator Lindsey Graham. He's coming joining us from Clemson right now. You know, he's chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, a member of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. And in terms of foreign policy, he's one-stop shopping on just everything that concerns America. First off, as the President of the United States cuts back from the G7, some news came out of it. And it looks like the President of Iran, Rouhani, he said, quote, if I knew was going to, on possibly meeting with the president, he said in a televised speech, if I knew there was going to be a meeting and visiting a person would help my country's development and resolve problems of the people, I would not miss it. That is a major difference from I'm never going to meet with President Trump, which he said a month ago. Do you believe the president should follow through with Macron's trying to broker, and that's a meeting with Rouhani of Iran?
I really don't care if they meet. I really appreciate what President Trump has done to crush the Iranian economy because they're on trying to build a nuclear weapon and dismember the Mideast. The question is, what are they going to talk about? There is no good deal that will allow Iran to keep enriching and reprocessing uranium and plutonium. That's how you make a bomb. The only good deal, Brian, is for Iran to have a nuclear power program like the Arabs, but they get their fuel from other sources. Right. They don't make their own fuel. That's how you make a bomb.
Senator, what's your reaction, talking about immigration, what's your reaction to these states, there are 19 states and D.C., suing the administration because the president wants to end the Flores agreement. He wants the children to stay with their families in the detention center until they face the judge, which could take 40 to 60 days.
These states are supporting the magnets of illegal immigration. The reason we're being overrun is two reasons. If you come here and claim asylum, your hearing is 3 years away and you never show up. We don't hold people for 3 years, so all they got to do is ask for asylum. If you bring a minor child, we can only hold the child for 20 days. We turn the child over to a labor HHS. Since you don't want to separate families, we'll let the entire family go, so they're continuing a bad practice. Shame on these states. Shame on the District of Columbia. The Congress should change our laws to allow you to hold minor children and their families long enough to process their claims so you don't let them out into the interior of the country.
Right. Senator, explain to us, because we've been chewing on this for a while. Why has such an important issue become so political? You know, the Democrats do not want...
They hate Trump.
Well, yeah, exactly.
They hate Trump.
We get that, but at the same time, this is a humanitarian crisis at our southern border. It would seem that, you know, you've been working with other Democrats. I know they hate Trump, but they've got... we send you people to Washington to fix stuff, and you're not fixing it.
Send people to Washington who don't hate Trump. I have been working on immigration for 10 years. I'm willing to deal with the DACA population, give them a place to stay in our country, a pathway to citizenship. I'm willing to spend money in Central America to make life better. I've done everything I know to do. I've turned blue in the face. I can't get one Democrat to agree with me that you should apply for asylum in Central America or Mexico, not the United States, because we don't have the capability to deal with asylum claims, and most of them are fraudulent. I can't get one Democrat to agree to allow children to be held with their families humanely for 40, 50, or 100 days so we can process their claims. They literally want them to be released in the United States. They continue a practice of asylum being applied for in the United States. It has a never-ending trail, and the trail to get here is terrible for women and children. They will not work with me. They will not work with President Trump. I am dumbfounded as to why we can't find compromise.
I know you had a great compromise bill that just got out of committee, but the chance of 60 votes in the Senate is dim, and, of course, the House as well. Meanwhile, let's pivot over to Afghanistan. On September 1st, it looks as though the ninth round of talks is supposed to produce a peace agreement with Afghanistan, which eventually, very soon, all our troops come out. The Taliban already have half the country. They're working on a deal with the Taliban, I guess, to give it all back. What's your greatest concern? Because many people listening said, I'm done with that war. We've been doing it for 19 years. What does Lindsey Graham say is at stake?
Right. Well, number one, you may be tired of fighting radical Islam, but they're not tired of fighting you. You might get a peace deal with the Taliban. The president's put a hurting on the Taliban. They have about 30% of the country. 20% of the public agrees with them in Afghanistan. 80% do not want to go back to the good old days of the Taliban, where you kill women in soccer stadiums for sport and young girls cannot ever go to school. So you might end the war with the Taliban, but the Al-Qaeda is alive and well in Afghanistan. ISIS is stronger today than they've ever been in Afghanistan. They will hit us if we leave. So I'm telling the president, I applaud you for trying to lower the cost.
Right.
You've done a good job of hurting on the Taliban, but you can't trust the Taliban to take care of ISIS and Al-Qaeda. There's no substitute for American forces in Afghanistan to protect the American homeland from radical Islam. There'll be another 9/11 if we pull the plug. If you don't believe me, ask the generals in the intelligence community.
How many? How long? How many troops? How long should they stay?
Under 10,000, that's great accomplishment, President Trump, until the threat is alleviated, until Al-Qaeda and ISIS no longer can enjoy safe haven, until their numbers are diminished so that they can't hurt us. Our security is not based on the day we leave, but what we leave behind. We still have troops in Korea. We still have troops in Japan and Germany. We lost 2 American soldiers a couple of days ago. They were defending America from Al-Qaeda and ISIS. Al-Qaeda and ISIS are not interested in peace. They're interested in purifying Islam, destroying all the Jews they can, destroying Israel, and coming after us. If you don't get that after the last 18 years, you're not watching what's going on in Afghanistan and throughout the world. So the good news is we can protect the American homeland for less than 10,000 troops with the intel capability. If we pull the plug and turn Afghanistan over to the Taliban and other elements, they're coming back here again, and that would be the biggest mistake any president can make.
Are we about to, Senator? Are we about to do that, you think?
I don't think so. I've talked to President Trump. He understands the need for a counterterrorism force to watch Al-Qaeda and ISIS, who will never be part of a peace deal. He understands the intelligence gathering capability we have in Afghanistan not only protects us, it protects the whole region. He's about to start a new relationship with Pakistan, where Pakistan will deny safe haven to the Taliban. I like President Trump's foreign policy. He's frustrated about the war. But 18 years ago, the Taliban ruled Afghanistan brutally. How many countries can be formed in 18 years? 6 million girls are in school today. There's a lot of activity, economic activity in Afghanistan. They're trading with the world, including us. There's been a lot of progress. It's come at a heavy price. The one thing about the war in Afghanistan, if you take your eye off the ball, it will come here. This is where the 9/11 plots were hatched and planned. When the Taliban took over, they invited Al-Qaeda to be their honored guest, and that's how 9/11 started. And the same thing will happen if we leave. But the good news is we can keep a small force there and be safe.
Okay. Senator Lindsey Graham, thank you so much for being with us.